So what did we learn from the All Blacks' convincing romp against Fiji and San Diego? Well, quite a surprising amount, actually. With 6 rookies in the mix, this game was marketed as a look ahead to 2027. But in fact, this might have given a preview of changes that are coming as soon as the Rugby Championship. So in this video, I'm going to break down all of the action from San Diego and then explain why some of the performances today might have created a seismic shift in the All Blacks team. Now, Fiji is a very slippery opponent. They're a banana peel. Look at what they did last year. They beat England at Twickenham. They rolled Australia in the Rugby World Cup. And you saw the threat they posed in the first 4 minutes of this game when they turned over the All Blacks twice at the ruck. I started thinking, oh boy, if we're too loosey-goosey against these Fijian boys, we could get into a lot of trouble here. But luckily, the All Blacks immediately rectified the situation and went back to what has served them so well this year, their scrum. Now, we can look at various stats here, the high score, the fact that the All Blacks scored 7 tries to 1. None of that really matters. What matters is this. New Zealand won 100% of their scrum. Fiji won 64. Fiji could never get into the game with a malfunctioning set piece like this. Truly, it was boys against men at scrum time. And not just that, the All Blacks rectified their line out. It was a thing of beauty yesterday. Gone were the timing miscues between thrower and jumper and the general sense of fragility you felt during the English series. But you know what else was gone? Maro freaking Itoje. I mean, we were going up against the world's #1 defensive line out operator, and man, did we look different when we didn't have a threat like that breathing down our necks. So we do need to take it with a grain of salt. Fiji's line out is not like England's line out. And yet it was incredibly satisfying as time after time, Asafo Amua found his targets. And it was a range of targets. Scott Barrett, of course, Tupou Vai'i, but also Ardie Savea as well. The line out looked beautiful. And at the end of the day, given the backline riches that the All Blacks have, as long as we could beat Fiji at the set piece, the points were going to flow, and that's basically what happened in this game. It went exactly according to script. We're up 26-5 at halftime. As you can see, the final score, 47-5. That's a pretty good result when you consider that there were 11 changes made to this team that had faced England at Eden Park, and the fact that Razor Robertson rolled the dice and unleashed 6 new players. But it wasn't any of the newbies that caught the eye initially. It was Anton Lienert-Brown. God, I love this guy. He was so incisive at number 12. Time and time again, he would take an inside ball, break the line, and then carve out impressive post-tackle meters. Sometimes people think ALB, hey man, he's got so many All Black caps, he's a steady hand, he's a sure thing, not the most exciting. I'm here to tell you, this guy is exciting. He has a real spark on attack, and his ability to crunch over the defensive line was very promising. We need that in our mix. With him and Jordie Barrett at 12, that inside center position is looking pretty strong for the All Blacks at the moment. And because ALB was having such a good day, it allowed the man outside him on debut, Billy Proctor, to shine. He was terrific. You could make an argument he was the man of the match. He just looked electric with the ball in hand. Now again, caveat, the Fijian line speed on defense was nothing like what we got against England. But you can only play what's in front of you. And it wasn't so much the way that Proctor was able to get across the advantage line. It was the decisions he made after he was in the clear. And that was where you saw a quality to his distribution game that we haven't seen from Rieko Ioane this year. It could be enough to cause a rethink. I believe this debut was so impressive that we need to take a chance on him against stronger opposition. So here's what I'm proposing. Yes, Jordie Barrett and Rieko Ioane get the incumbents in for one of the games against Argentina, but we also need to see a Jordie Barrett and Billy Proctor midfield. Now, here's why the risk is somewhat mitigated. These two have so many reps as co-pilots for the Hurricanes. There is a chemistry there. There is an understanding. So I would be quite comfortable to put out Proctor against a team as good as Argentina and see if he sinks or swims against a stronger defense. Based on the evidence we saw in this game, you have to give this guy another chance. He is too good to ignore. Another player who looked really good was Cortez Ratama. Unfortunately, he went off with a HIA, and I guess we're going to find out if he was concussed and needs a bit of a break. But that brought on Noah Hotham, which was pretty surprising. He didn't expect 45 minutes, but he comfortably handled himself. So two good young players there at halfback for the All Blacks. Both looked very assured. And Cortez Ratama, if he's fit, you actually feel like he could become the starting All Black in the Rugby Championship. He was very alive to opportunity. This was a guy who was playing with his head up. You look at his nicely taken try in the first half, nabbed the opportunity in front of him. Alive. That was the word I wrote down in my notebook. He is alive to opportunities around him. And it also reminds me a little bit of Cam Roygaard. He might be the closest thing to Roygaard with his sparky running game and his pace and eye for the gap. So really satisfied that he's come into the mix for the All Blacks, particularly with the Roygaard injury this year. But it's not all praise for the All Blacks. They were exposed on a couple of occasions. There was a pinpoint cross kick that led to a Fijian try in the first half. And I think you've got to credit that to their new coach, Mick Byrne, who was just on his third game as head coach of Fiji. This guy's a kicking genius. You might know that he was in the All Blacks setup for a long time, got an Aussie rules background. He's a guy who helped shape Dan Carter. So I think that probably tells you everything you need to know about his credentials as a kicking coach. But Fiji looked pretty dangerous when they kicked, and they looked very accurate too. In fact, at times they were winning the kicking game with the All Blacks, although Damian McKenzie did grow into this facet of the game, and boy did it make a difference when he was putting up contestable kicks that had a strong kick chase. Caleb Clark did amazing work off the ball. He's a high ball merchant. He was able to win back a Damian McKenzie bomb at one point. But in general, he was rushing up and putting real heat on the Fijian players every time the ball went into the air. What we saw against England was that when the All Blacks ran out of ideas and just hoisted a kick up and the kick chase wasn't really there as intense as it needs to be, we were finding ourselves in all sorts of trouble and playing into the hands of Northern Hemisphere teams who will gratefully accept the ball and kick it into the corner, start crushing us with the territory game. So there were improvements in the kicking game despite a couple of rough moments from McKenzie early on. But as we got into the second half, again, I cannot reiterate enough, the set piece made it certain. The All Blacks scrum was monstrous. The lineout was a well-oiled machine. Asafo Amua was right on the money with his darts. And so the All Blacks were able to hit 47 even as they emptied their bench, brought on a whole bunch of new boys. But it's not the 47 that I'm happy with. It's the 5. Fiji, obviously, are a fantastic attacking team. The fact that we shut them down, despite the fact that they had almost 50% possession, they had plenty of opportunities to attack the All Blacks. The fact that we shut them down, the fact that our backfield defense hustled as well as it did, the fact that you had Luke Jacobson just doing textbook rap tackle after rap tackle, the fact that you had Ethan Blackadder shoring up the defense as well, that was very pleasing to me because that kind of defensive grittiness is something that you can then replicate against teams like South Africa and Argentina. Yes, they're going to pose more attacking threats, but the intent was there, the clinical quality was there in the defense. That's actually probably what I liked the most about this All Black performance and gave me the most hope. But let's touch on the loose forwards because this was a pretty good looking trio. What happened was you had Ethan Blackadder and Luke Jacobson really doing the core roles well, playing narrow when they needed to, shutting down attack in midfield. That gave Ardie Savea a little bit more license to roam. It was almost like a weight off his shoulders, and man, some of Ardie's leg drive and running game was just amazing. He looked a little bit liberated, so I'm still not sure what the right makeup is for this All Blacks loose forward mix. I feel like if you start Ethan Blackadder at 6, you know what you're going to get. We saw it yesterday. It was a full-on, relentless 80-minute performance. He is a more seasoned, polished player than Samipeni Finau right now, clearly. But is Samipeni the future? Do we need to keep playing him? Do we need to put him out there against Argentina, Australia, South Africa, keep growing his game? I'm just not sure, but Ethan Blackadder, as long as he remains injury-free, is a hard-edged mongrel player who brings a lot to the team. I liked what I saw from him yesterday. So the All Blacks emptied their bench in the second half because they were able to. They had a comfortable-looking scoreline. What did I think of the debutants? I thought that George Bell was terrific at hooker. He really looked like an All Black rake straight away. I thought that Sam Darry looked good, particularly some of his subtle touches with the ball in hand. I got the feeling he's not just the last man standing in New Zealand as a lock, but he really could be the future. There's an athleticism and there's a ball playing ability that reminds me a little bit, it's early days, but a little bit of a Brodie Retallick. That was a pleasing debut off the bench, particularly when we are in dire need of some more locks. As I mentioned, Proctor was absolutely outstanding on debut, but maybe the most exciting presence out there was Wallace Satiti. He came on and played number 8, and wow, my God, it was stunning to watch the athleticism, the explosive qualities of this guy. Man, I'm calling it now. I think he's a 50-test All Black. If he stays fit, if he keeps growing his game, he is going to be wearing the black jersey for years to come. That was an eye-catching debut. So how does this change things for the Rugby Championship? Well, I think, unfortunately, Amoni Narawa really didn't get a chance to shine in the second half. I think he is going to make way for Will Jordan. I still would have loved to have seen Ruben Love. Speaking of Love, you can watch my new movie, Looking for Dr. Love. It's out now in North America on Amazon Prime. It's my first leading role in an American film, so I really hope you enjoy it if you check it out. But back to the rugby. I don't think there's room for Love right now, so I think Perifetta could get squeezed, and you're going to be seeing Beauden Barrett or Will Jordan starting at fullback for sure. You might even see Jordan go to the wing, Talea on the other side, Beauden Barrett at fullback. I could see the back three getting a pretty significant rework in coming weeks. But what I think has to happen after this performance yesterday is that Asafo Amua has to start at hooker against better opposition. We need to diagnose if there's just a little form slump going on with Cody Taylor, maybe work on getting him back to the world-class operator that he is, but meanwhile, give Asafo Amua a chance. He has earned it. The other change I think we're going to see in the Rugby Championship, let's start Proctor and Barrett in the midfield against Argentina. Now, perhaps you want to look at the incumbents first. Perhaps in the first game, you look at Geordie Barrett and Rieko Ioane starting together at 12 and 13. I think in the second game, you're going to have to put Proctor out there to start. We need to see how he goes against better opposition, because there was something about his distribution game that made me feel, this guy might help us finish more opportunities than Rieko Ioane has been lately. So overall, an incredibly satisfying performance, and the first time I got the sense of, wow, this is a Razor Robertson team. Like in the second half, I did not think this looked like an Ian Foster team at all. You felt in the first 2 games against England, it kind of was. It was a little bit of a hangover from the 2023 team. This was like back to the future. This was like, wow, a whole new vitality. And I'm seeing a future with guys like Satiti, Proctor, George Bell, getting a lot of minutes for the All Blacks and changing the way we play. Did this game reveal that we need to make some changes to the starting 15 and the bench? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll be back for another video real soon looking ahead to the Rugby Championship. Take it easy, guys. Bye for now.